Every week they're at it, never daring to let up. 'Cause winning's the only thing that counts when you're playing for the Winfield Cup. It doesn't matter if you're famous or a youngster making his way. There's only one thing that matters, and that's how well you play. That's what the big game's all about. Giving it the best you can. Always being a leader, never bowing to any man. Giving it all you know, giving it your best shot. Making every step a winner, proving what it takes you got. Every week they're at it, giving it their all. But who will it be this year to collect the greatest prize of all?
Well, from the demise of Cronulla to the demise of Redfern Oval, Redfern has been the home ground for South for the past 40 seasons, and last Sunday afternoon they were at home to the Canberra Raiders. Naturally, South wanted to end all those years of tradition on the right note.
The State Bank Big Game presents the Winfield Cup.
Hello and welcome to today's Winfield Cup clash between South Sydney and Canberra from Redfern Oval. And this match brings down the curtain as the last home game to be played by Souths at Redfern. A long tradition comes to an end. Souths entered the Sydney competition in 1908. For the next 40 years their home base was the showground, the sports ground or the Sydney Cricket Ground. In 1948 they moved to Redfern Oval. This year sees South Sydney playing their 40th season at Redfern. And what great players have trod the turf. Churchill, Rayner, Cowie, Haywick, Graves, Purcell, Donahue, Hamilton, Moyer, McCarthy, Coote, O'Neill, Cleary, Sattler, and present-day coach George Piggins, to name but a few.
What are your great memories of South Sydney at Redfern Oval?
Sattler and all the rest of them, Cootes and McCarthy and all them.
Jack Rayner days, Clive Churchill, Chick Howie.
I've got a lot of great memories of South Sydney Redfern Oval. I suppose, this is a sad memory for me today. I've been following South for nearly 33 years.
My brother played for South and he's older than me.
Well, I just said to a fellow there a while ago, I said, look at that guy walking around there. And the fellow who's walking around there was Clem Kennedy. And I played against him when with mascot the juniors in the South City junior competition. One of the greatest halfbacks Australia's ever had.
They're a great team, and because I like their players.
Girls, how long have you been following the Souths?
Oh, forever, like since I was born, a very long time.
What are the great memories you've got of South Sydney?
Oh, there's so many, there's just that many of them.
I've been following South for 25 years. Michael Cleary on the wing, Dennis Pittard, Johnny Sattler, and of course David Boyle.
Paulie, have we been writing this script for you, have you or not?
Sounds like it. Well, getting down to this match before us today, we see both sides in the top 5 with Souths on 31 points and Canberra on 30. Both come into this clash after strong wins last weekend. Souths hit back against East after being down 16-12 at half-time to come out winners by 32 points to 18. And Canberra at Seaford Sports Ground were convincing winners over Canterbury 22 points to 4. In their previous encounters in round 12 on the 17th of May, Canberra at their home ground got the money by 6-2. With great pride, Mario Fennick, as captain of the 87 first grade side, leads his team out today, and they would certainly like a win to be registered in the history books on their last outing at Redfern. Their team lineup today is Cruikshank, Harrington, Marvin, Blake, Moon, Ellison, Coleman, Andrews, Davidson, Boyle, Johnson, Fennick and Roberts. A win to the Raiders here today will lift them a point above the Rabbitohs on the premiership table and just that much closer to fulfilling their dream of reaching the semi-finals. And their full team is Belcher, Kinner, Henjack, Jackson, Corkery, O'Sullivan, Kay Walters, Lance, Coyne, Gilbert, Bacco, S. Walters, Todd. The man in charge, Our State Bank big game, Greg McCullum. Both sides on the field ready for this very critical encounter between South Sydney and Canberra. South Sydney playing for the very last time on their home ground. We'll go into that a little bit more in detail. And there's a huge crowd come along to have a look at the situation. The kick-off has been taken by South Sydney. Canberra receiving the ball. Dean Lance is the first man to touch it. And already a giant shoulder charge gone in there from Roberts. McCullum is the referee. Now Bacco going forward beyond the quarter line. There's the first penalty of the match against South Sydney inside the 5. Up came one of the South Sydney players there, Boyle, and has gone into Bacco. I don't think there was anything illegal with the tackle, but it was chest high. Jackson going to take the kick, 10 metres outside his quarter. And finds touch just over the quarter line. And the tap restart. Todd comes forward. Front row forward. Warbers. Lance. On to Bacco again. This will be a grinding match in the forwards. And then maybe the backs will get a go a bit later on. But we shall see the first spill of the ball. And now the penalty goes against Walters, the halfback for the Canberra side. Attempt to steal the ball.
So plenty of fire in the opening minutes from both sides. Both teams keen to get on top, and there's a big breeze out there today, so South's all important that they don't start as slowly as they did last weekend against Eastern Suburbs. And David, just how solid is that breeze now in the first half supporting Canberra?
Well, it is supporting Canberra, as you mentioned. It's quite a noticeable breeze. It will have an effect on this Canberra side in the first half. Quite interesting, a ploy that Canberra used in the last week's match against Canterbury. We see that Walters is in fact playing in the centres, and Ivan Henjack will feed the scrums for the Raiders.
Well, there's been a bit of a turmoil over there. The play is getting a little bit disjointed with the T teams so keyed up to do well. 31 points South Sydney, 30 points Canberra on the competition table. The scrum feed by Henjack onto O'Sullivan. And the very strong defence comes up straight away on the line. O'Sullivan kicks downfield. There's no fullback at home. Cruikshank's having to chase back for it. The runners are coming through very smartly. Cruikshank dives on it well. Is tackled about a metre out from his line. Jackson was the chaser. Jason Moon went under a high tackle there to make a few more metres. You can throw an Indian blanket over South Sydney at the moment. They're all in a bunch around the ruck. They're spreading now. Mario Fennick got a few runners. Johnson, about 3 metres short of the quarter line. The last tackle coming up. Unseasonably warm. There's the penalty again for inside the 5. And unseasonably warm the weather today. It'll be a bit enervating for the big forwards.
And that's the trouble they got into last week, South Sydney. Mistakes early on in the first half. What they've got to do is just make sure they control the possession. They just can't afford to come up with those handling mistakes, especially in their own 22. That's where they nearly got themselves into trouble and lost the game, which was just saved by the big second half performance. Mario Fennick got a Johnson from the tap restart. They're about 5 metres short of the halfway line. Les Davidson. He gets planted very firmly there. Long pass from Coleman. Oh, good tackle there. Excellent tackle from Dean Lance. Took Roberts right out of it and sideways. Mario Fennick throws the dummy. Got close to being through there. Coleman. Ellison. Boyle the dummy half. Out to Coleman. Elects to kick downfield. It's going to be a good one. Kinner misread that completely. He appeared to back away from it. Roberts. Good pass to Andrews. They're still 10 metres out from their quarter.
Ellison. Boyle. Blake beautifully tackled right round the boot tops by Ivan Henjak. On the blind side goes Fennick. And the last tackle, it'll be a handover.
Let's go!
Corkery's going through. Oh, very close. He was held by the jumper. Davidson had him in a sort of a death grip on the jumper. Only thing that held him up. Todd comes forward. Well, the Canberra forwards are giving as good as they get at the moment. O'Sullivan, Henjak, Jackson. Beautifully done, Belcher. Belcher gets it to Coyne. Coyne loses it behind him. Whipped up by, I think it was Blake, and give it to Cruikshank. And South Sydney off the hook again. Boyle out to the corner. About 13 minutes of the crowd starting to chant, get him back onside. That's the usual ploy here at Redfern Oval. Davidson's hopped through a tackle. He's up towards the halfway. Gives a pass back inside to Blake. Blake gets it to Coleman. Coleman goes straight and strong. That pass looked a bit suspect. Gets it out to Harrington. Harrington stopped about 2 metres short of the line. I think there was a forward pass on that. We'll see that in a moment. South Sydney hot on attack. Out it goes to Roberts. Roberts gets a pass back inside to Ellison. Ellison stands in a tackle and gets a pass away, which is intercepted by a Canberra forward.
Great recovery by Canberra, but that initial break again being caused by Les Davidson. He's hopping out wider today than we've seen him, and he's causing havoc out there. Canberra really have got to come to their senses. They've got to set somebody with the task of lining Davidson up, whether it's one of the back rowers, Coyne or Gilbert, or Dean Lance that gets wide, as I said, and looks for him when he's coming to charge onto that football and putting him straight down.
Ashley Gilbert slowly to his feet. Walters. Jackson kicks back upfield. Cruikshank will field it on the second bounce. O'Sullivan picks him up with a good diving tackle. Henjak finishes it. Taking all the time he can. Marvin running from dummy half. And he's a strong boy. He's forced 3 of them to come at him, even though he hasn't made any forward progress. Boyle. It's a tough, uncompromising game with flashes of brilliance. Roberts fell like a tree. 10 metres from the halfway line. Coleman kicks for touch. Looks the goods. It is indeed. It's up to the quarter and over the sideline. A great kick. There's the man, little Coleman. David Fordham, any sign of a storm coming in from the north there?
No, the weather looks pretty good, Rex. There was suggestions that there could be a strong westerly coming up this afternoon, a storm coming with it, but thankfully sitting on the sideline, I think I'll be dry for most of the 90 minutes. Harrington's back to his feet on that far side. Lester Biles has been asked to warm up on the South Sydney bench, but some bad news for the South Sydney side today. Paul Roberts, who's been used both starting and on the bench, coming in off the bench for South Sydney, a vital player, left the field with a broken cheekbone, will take no further part in the 1987 Winfield Cup. He's having an operation in hospital this afternoon for that cheekbone, and that's a cruel blow to South Sydney.
Belcher's run beautifully from dummy half. Obviously been inspired by Lydon's run yesterday. Plays it to Todd. Todd stands in a tackle, gets it to Walters. Walters tackled about 3 metres short of the halfway line. Lance, Henjak, Sullivan, Jackson. Around the blind side they go again. The ricochet pass. Corkery can get to it. No, he can't. Boyle's got to it first. Harrington running from dummy half. I thought all Canberra players close to the ruck were offside then. The referees played on. He's got them now. He's got them now. The backs moved up in front of him and paid the penalty. So the penalty will take place about 9.5 metres out from the quarter line, directly in the middle of the field.
Yes, Cruikshank's come off the field and Neil Baker, wearing number 14, is the replacement.
The kick and goal by Ellison is successful. So the score now, South Sydney 2, Canberra 0.
It's incredible, Rex. Really, the wheels are coming off this back line. Harrington's going off on the far side. He injured that ankle with that long run up that nearly led to that South Sydney try. Les Biles is his replacement, but certainly some problems. A big test of the reserve strength of this business end of the season for South Sydney in such a vital game.
Walters, Henjack, little kick through. He'll regather. Henjack beautifully gets a pass away to Jackson. Jackson's going strongly, can't get a pass away. Lester Biles has grabbed him from behind. Good run from him. Got up and played it badly, and it's a penalty. It's a penalty to Canberra.
It's a mess in the play of the ball situation. Les Biles pulling Peter Jackson forward there, and Ian Roberts diving on the ball in the ruck. A great opportunity for Canberra. Jackson just wasn't able to free his hands to stay alive, and that pass was on back inside. But there's only 15 minutes to go in this first half. They've had the advantage of a very strong breeze. They have to post points.
Canberra about 5 metres out from the line now. Gilbert slowly to his feet, right underneath the posts. Turns it back inside to Bacco. Bacco using his enormous bulk to try to power his way over. Waller's a dummy half. Cleared it out to O'Sullivan. Henjack gets a pass away. It'll go out to Kinner, and Kinner's going to score in the corner. It's a good try. Chris Kinner. Some of the South Sydney fans are very unhappy about that, but of course they would be. But there was a moment when it looked as though there might have been interference.
On the State Bank replay, that was the question mark there. The defence came in on Kevin Walters. He went without the ball. Belcher received the ball and then out to Chris Kinner. They haven't had anything to show for the advantage of the breeze. They just had to post points, as they say, and post points quickly. Even the 4 or 6 points is not going to be enough. They've got to back this up, I believe, with another try to really gain that proper advantage at the break over South Sydney. This is the one coming up now. Walters was the one that was going for the ball. He got his hands to it, but the ball was hung on to by Belcher. They all fell for the dummy run of Walters, allowing the overlap there for Kinner to dive over in the corner.
Belcher. Well, it's a good-looking kick, but it's just faded away. So the score remains Canberra 4, South Sydney 2. Davidson standing there with the arms free, got it away to Coleman. Coleman can't get rid of it. He's into the quarter. Fennick, Ellison, Roberts. Went over the top of Dean Lance there, and he's seen to be about 4 feet above him. 6 to go. The ball was touched in flight. Johnson getting to his feet slowly to Marvin. Marvin trying to plough through the middle of the ruck. Out she goes to Ellison. Ellison onto Boyle. Boyle one-handed back to Andrews. Andrews trying to force a hole through the ruck. Coleman. Ellison. Put out about 7 metres out. South Sydney are hot on attack at the moment. Roberts. He's there, I think. No, it's been disallowed by the referee. We'll see that again from head on and check out the credentials of it. See it again.
He's been South Sydney's player, best player for well over a month now. Now the ball was well and truly covered there by Chris O'Sullivan. He was underneath Roberts. This is why he causes so much trouble out wide. He is so tall. There he is with the little men trying to grab him by the arms. Underneath the ball goes the arm of Chris O'Sullivan. Good decision by Greg McCullum.
The scrum's gone down. It's not satisfactory. He wants it again. And a penalty goes to South Sydney. It's feet across against Canberra. So they'll come up with 6 attempts from only a couple of metres out. All the yardage has been done for them. Now Ellison's going to take a kick for the sideline or a tap. What's he going to do? It's a tap onto Coleman. Marvin taken right out of it with a copybook tackle from Lance. Turning it back in the middle. Johnson goes ploughing through. Mario Fennick the crisscross move. They're trying to work round the ruck. Boyle ploughing forward about 3 metres away. Pennick. Davidson coming as the last man to receive it. I believe he's lost the football. So Canberra off the hook momentarily.
And good defence by Canberra to continue to hold this South Sydney side out for 2 sets of 6 tackles. South, the penalties are favouring them by nearly 2-1 at this stage, 7-4 in fact the South. So a good performance here in the last 10 minutes. And also, well, there's the scrums to make up for the difference for Canberra. They're leading that way 5-1.
Corkery came away with a good run there. Now Todd takes over. He's lost the football but lost it backwards. And there's no 6 to go. Out to Belcher. Andrews. Out to Jackson. Jackson trying to go round his man. Pops a pass back at the inside. Corkery's got it. He's up over halfway. He's sprinting beautifully. It's the last tackle coming now. Can Canberra keep the ball alive? They've tried the kick. It's gone for the high bomb. Baker's moving. Does it knock on? There'll be a knock on here. It's going to be taken out by Jason Byrne over the dead ball line, and it's a penalty against Marvin for interference, and it's 5-10 minutes in the sin bin.
Well, I'm nearly doubtful here about the fact that it could have been a penalty try. The ricochet here, I thought it came off the legs of a Canberra player. Now, we watched Cruikshank set himself. He's lost the ball off the knees there of Chris Kinner. Going forward, he allowed the advantage to Canberra. He decided to give the penalty and not to play the further advantage of a possible penalty try. There it was, coming off the knees of Chris Kinner, towed ahead by Canberra, and Maven earning the 10 minutes there for pulling him over without the ball.
Now Belcher from about 18 metres out and about 20 metres off centre. Agrees that he's back. Won't get a simpler kick. Well, he's slogged it. He's gone away to the right. None from 2 from Belcher. So the score remains Canberra 4, South Sydney 2. Just the 1 try in the match. And a lot of people not emotionally involved in the game will be questioning the referee on that decision. Did he not think that a try would undoubtedly have been scored were it not for the interference of a defending player?
And they just haven't got enough tries on the board for mine, Canberra. That would have been a cruncher. It would have been scored right near the post. It could have given them a 10 points to 2 advantage going to the break. That's what they need. There's 4 minutes now till half-time. Canberra still need another try for mine to be safe in this second half. I think South Sydney would be finishing on too strongly at this stage.
Well, the pass was put round the corner there to Corkery, who tried to get it, but Lester Biles has come up with it. Tuckwell. Swung to the ground by Corkery. Boyle. Coleman. Tuck. Ellison. Roberts. Pass off the... Well, the referee's let him get away with it. I thought he was pinning it down. We'll see that again. A pass along the ground's been put down, and that's panicked by South Sydney, picked up by Walters. Carey. Henjack glanced through the pass even though he was falling, out to Belcher. 4.5 minutes to go to half-time. Carey. Jackson. Corkery. Corkery's on the fly. He goes around his man. He's going to score a brilliant try. He stood Cruikshank up there beautifully. Stood him up with an in and away. See it again. It was a classic try.
Exactly what I said they needed on the State Bank replay. Well picked off a short blind by Peter Jackson. He drew both the men standing down there, leaving the way clear for Corkery. He had support looming up on the inside, but he just went in and away. Excellent play by the winger to stand up the fullback, Cruikshank. He's back on after an injury. Question mark whether he's 100%. They've had 3 changes to their backline, South Sydney. This is where the strength of Canberra lies, out there with the likes of Jackson, Belcher and Corkery, and they're starting to utilise it. They've got to continue to work on the fact that the defensive combination of those 3 changes in the South Sydney line are causing them too much trouble, but a great finishing display by Matthew Corkery.
And for a player who was virtually in under-23s this time last year, and was apparently not getting on with the reserve grade coach, and has been a remarkable reformation of his character, of his career. He's a really astonishing player. In 2 weeks now, he's scored 2 brilliant tries. I know one summer doesn't make a swallow, but there you go. Oh yes, the kick from Belcher. Wide out has been successful. So Canberra 10, South Sydney 2. Coleman, Fennick, Ellison, trying to make a break near the ruck, did so, but couldn't get his arms free. Coleman, Boyle. About 15 metres out from the line now. Johnson surges forward to the 10-yard line. Couple of tackles to go. Ellison. And last one coming up right now. What'll it be, a bomb? Coleman, Davidson, kicked it high in the air. Taken by Boyle on the ricochet. Boyle's gone very close to scoring. No, it's going to be a handover. The whole crowd stood up there behind the action. Everybody in the corner over there stood up as one. They thought he'd scored.
And again, scrambling defence from Canberra saved the situation. They shouldn't have found themselves in this spot, though. What should have occurred from the kick-off after they scored, Peter Jackson nearly had the right thing in his mind to kick the ball downfield. They shouldn't have been caught making mistakes in their own quarter with only 2 or 3 minutes to go prior to the break.
Just trying to work it away safely. Coyne can't get through the Davidson tackle. Jackson gets a kick downfield. It's an end-over-end kick. The chasers are coming. Noon's got it. And he runs afoul there of Carey. Carey again on the tackle on Cruikshank. And there's the hooter in the background, giving the relief to these players who've really slogged it out in very, very hot conditions. So at half-time, it's Canberra 10, South Sydney 2. Canberra's 10 points have come from Kinner and Corkery. The 2 wingers have scored tries. Belcher, 1 goal from 3. South Sydney, 2 points came from an Ellison try. Well, they're just about to get underway for what promises to be a cracking second half. David, you've got the changes in the sides.
Yes, Wayne Chisholm's on the field for South Sydney, replacing Lindsay Johnson. That means Boyle, playing in his 100th first grade game, will move up into the front row. Chris O'Sullivan is back on for Canberra after receiving 5 stitches and a head wound, and Phil Carey is off there. The injury toll in the South Sydney camp from that first half: Harrington has ankle ligament trouble, and Michael Blake, as we mentioned earlier, the hamstring problem.
Well, a rather ineffective kick was put in there, and the ball went straight to Bacco, giving Canberra the opportunity to attack right from the outset. Here's Corkery looking for a run from dummy half. He's got through the tackle. They're falling off him. He's gone within 8 metres of scoring. That's not South Sydney defence. There's a giant hole out there on the right. If they move it there, they haven't. They've gone to the blind side. Henjack has come up with a run that's taken him within 3 metres of the line. Walters, Lance, O'Sullivan, and Jackson finished on the ground there underneath that tackle. Walters hit a South Sydney player coming back onside and rolled backwards. Mario Fennick scooped up the dregs, so they're off the hook there momentarily. 10 points to 2. Canberra lead. Roberts and Davidson are the 2 keys in this South Sydney pack. They're the attackers. Davidson, halfway through a tackle, tears his way free. Got a pass away. That's where he's dangerous. Coleman out to Roberts. Beautiful pass away. The pass went backwards. It didn't go to hand. Andrews scooped it up. Coleman. Ellison kicks downfield. It's over Belcher's head. Going back towards the goal line. He's run out of his in-goal area, back towards the quarter line. He's run around. Lester Biles turns it back inside to Corkery, who's tackled 10 metres outside his quarter. Waters, Chris Kinner, the other wing three-quarter. Got up and played it. He's gone forward from the tap. No marker. Well, he's taking a power of putting down. Roberts came in and finished him off. Chisholm was the player that was having difficulty handling him. Lance, Ashley Gilbert turned back on the inside. They're about 3 metres from the halfway line. Henjack, little kick through. Henjack's picked it up. He's on the scoot. He's on the fly. Gets a pass back inside to Waters. Waters has knocked it on. And now it's 6 to go. It was obviously knocked on by a South Sydney player. Fights his way to his feet. Jackson away to Sam Backo. Backo powering his way forward. He's only 8 metres out. Gets to his feet. Waters, it's a try, I think. Yes, it is. A quick play the ball. And Steve Walters, the brother of the halfback of this Canberra side, has powered his way over. Just a monumental mistake by South Sydney. See it again.
Well, they've been slow to start this second half, South Sydney. Nobody home on the State Bank replay and defence. Early turns around Michael Andrews and notices that nobody was up the middle, but that was too late. Mario Fennick did his best to get up off the ground quickly to get to Walters, but he grounded the ball fairly and squarely. They're going to talk about the lead-up to this try, this Kevin Walters try, Steve Walters, I should say, try, because of the fact that there was a ruling that Greg McCallum was called to make on a knock-on situation with Kevin Walters.
He obviously deduced that the South Sydney player in question had knocked the ball down, and when it was regathered by Canberra, he ruled a 6 tackle to continue and a continuation of play. Really only a referee can rule on those decisions. About 11, 12 metres out, 7 metres off centre. Belcher, he's got the goal, so the score hastens on. That was a critical try. Canberra 16, South Sydney 2. Henjack to feed the scrum. $16 points to 2 at the moment, out to Canberra. Belcher showing enough in attack to realise that he's going to get free on one occasion. Corkery runs into a wall of defenders there, and Davidson doing his best to monster him. Midfield on the corner. Well, he got up in the air. They couldn't slam him down hard. That was Todd. O'Sullivan back inside to Belcher. A good step that avoided the tackle of Les Davidson. I think Corkery's been flattened midfield and still down there. Jackson kicks upfield. Oh, it's evaded Cruikshank. He's had to run back for it. There's 2 runners there now. Can they get him? They do. Coleman calls Lester Biles in and around him. There goes Lester. Well, Coyne came in and cuffed him hard. Slowed him down. Coleman. Ellison. Both sides showing very, very severe signs of fatigue. Here's a bit of trouble. Andrews back into Boyle. Boyle felled by Lance, the captain of the Canberra side, and he's not well. He's still down. Coleman. Roberts taken well. Tackle 5 metres short of the halfway line. There were some kicks. It's gone upfield. Backo takes it beautifully. Sam Backo. He's a man of many parts. A great cover defender, as we saw a moment ago. Now he defuses bombs, and then he loses the ball. In the play the ball, it was right back. Davidson. Moon.
I'd like to see David Cruikshank spend more time up in the attacking line. They're relying upon the likes of Ian Roberts and Davidson out wide to make the breaks. Here's a run.
Fennick on the Boyle now, gets a pass to Andrews, loses the ball, and the Canberra have come up with it, and the referee calls to stop the play.
Well, it's when breaks like that occur from South Sydney, they're using their forwards out wide to try and cause the problems through Roberts and Davidson. Cruikshank's got to stay in the line. He's got to be the man that's got to read it when Roberts or Davidson can stand. He's got to be there for the short pass, either himself or Steve Maven. They've had so many changes to their back line because of injury. Maven and Cruikshank have got to get there and support.
Well, the player that's down for Canberra there, who I can't identify, the trainer has said he needs 10 minutes in the sin bin. Not the sin bin, the head bin. And it's Yeah, David, we've got another change coming for South Sydney.
Yes, Graham mentioned that Cruikshank will have to hit the line. He is, in fact, being replaced. He took that knock early in the first half. He's been struggling, and Neil Baker will come back on to replace him in jersey number 14. We also have a warming up Steve Jackson coming out for Canberra in jersey number 23.
Stephen Jackson. Yes, there's a stretcher unfortunately been brought on to bring Coyne off because of the knock he's received. David Cruikshank walking from the field receives a sympathetic round of applause. Coyne has been a very valuable member of this Canberra pack. His work rate is very, very high, and he's always on hand in trouble times to take over and do a 4 or 5 metre run, and he'll be missed. Just see the incident again. Well, evidently it was in him tackling another player. He's got the head involved in the tackle, and that's that. Walters, Todd, who's consistently ploughed forward. Well, that was a held back kick. It's going to be out on the full. So Jackson, he's not very pleased with himself about that. I think he went very half-heartedly. That tried to coax it. Went out on the full. And there's a dejected little rabbit sitting there, little Reggie Rabbit. Baker. Good tackle from Belcher. Ellison, Coleman. Chisholm. Chisholm tears his way through. Passed the ball, went straight to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan now ploughing back upfield and makes... Oh, well, he's returned the ball about another 15 metres. Jackson. Morrissey. Walters. He scored a try already from dummy half, and now we're going to have Les Davidson, I believe, called out and asked to explain why a head tackle. We'll see it again. There's Davidson. It was above the shoulders. Yes, there's a large gentleman down there beside you, David, who all the Canberra people are very anxious to see get back on the football field.
That's right. Under normal conditions, we'd probably be taking the kick, Mel, to probably seal the game for Canberra. The boys have done it well today. A real crunch match for Canberra coming into this one.
Well, the boys knew what they had to do today, and they're obviously doing it at the moment. The forwards are playing tremendously well. They contain the South forwards. They're probably getting over the top of the South forwards at the moment, and they're doing it very easy at this stage.
OK, we'll just have a look at this kick and come back and chat some more with Big Mal Meninga.
Gary Belcher. He's about 9 metres out from the quarter and a couple of metres off centre. Inconsequential, the amount that he's off centre. Got a good space to look at. And kicks. And's got it. 18 points to 2. Canberra leads South Sydney. Exactly 19 and a half minutes to go.
Well, Mal, what's the... I know that you're very keen to get back on the field with that injured arm, but I believe that the doctor has told the club no more Mal Meninga for 87. How big a disappointment is that?
Oh, very disappointing, Dave. It's, this is the first time I've really had a major injury that's kept me out of the game for a long, long time. And I'm doing it tough on the sideline at the moment. I'd love to be on the field, but doctor said in my best interest I should stay out of the game this year and come back next year.
One final question. What will it mean to the national capital if the Raiders can make that top 5?
Oh, it'd be a tremendous boost. We've been there all year, and we've got great support down there. And I just, if we make the 5, well, I think that's be a stepping stone for the future.
Oh, well, tough it out. Look forward to seeing you back at the field at 88.
Thanks, Dave.
OK, well, he's only got 18 minutes to go to see his side well on the way. As South Sydney attack in the latter stages of the game, the ball was passed, and there's a penalty gone against Canberra for holding the player back.
Les Davidson is the man coming to support Ellison here. He is in the back play following Ellison, held back by Dean Lanson, and McCullum, a good decision.
They've taken the tap. Mario Fenix gone close, about 5 metres. Ellison, Roberts, and Walters goes high and locks his arms to his side. South Sydney, Marvin, Ellison, Coleman, Davidson. Back inside to Boyle. Boyle back to Fennick gets it away there to Andrews. Andrews to Coleman. Coleman, I thought, gave a forward pass. He did. The referee has ruled that way. Even though it was dropped, it was forward. Desperation stuff now for South Sydney.
It was a case of South Sydney nearly running out of players here. They've had so many changes to their back line. Michael Andrews was looking out wide for more support, and then that was the forward pass by Craig Coleman.
The scrum going down with a Canberra feed. And they come up with it. Belcher's usually come into the play around about the 5'8" spot. He did again that time. Kinner comes in from around the wing position. This is the bloke that I like, Todd. He's striven hard all day, and in a period of time when Canberra forwards were certainly not going anywhere, he was still ploughing forward. He's run 100 miles today. O'Sullivan, a pass on the fly to Jackson. Jackson back inside to Kinner. Kinner goes on the outside if he does. Well, he should do. No, he's taken the tackle, the fool. A foolish decision. But anyway, Jackson's got up to his feet, got it away to Walters. Walters has got it on there too. Who is that? Gary Belcher, is it?
Gary Belcher's in for the try.
Gary Belcher, yes, well, that's a try now, but it wasn't going to be a try a few moments ago. Kinner went too far, took the tackle, see it again.
Now, the State Bank replay should tell us that this is the advantage of Canberra all afternoon long out wide. Gary Belcher and Peter Jackson, every time that they've touched the ball, they've caused problems for Canberra. The ball should have been released there earlier by Chris Kinner. He had men in support. He failed to use either Ashley Gilbert or Peter Jackson, but quickly he rose to his feet. He took advantage of the quick play of the ball situation. Plenty of support there from Canberra. A lot of enthusiasm. Gary Belcher reading the play superbly to get there. There was the quick play though. Peter Jackson saw that he was dead on the outside, kept the ball alive. Kevin Walters screaming for it, and right behind him too was the man Gary Belcher having a great game.
Yes indeed, and I think I foreshadowed the fact that he'd get free on one occasion, but really I can't have too much time for a footballer that's got a player on either side of him, 20 metres to run and one defender in front, and he dies with a football. There'd be serious doubts about his capabilities of playing first grade, and that was Kinner on that occasion. Belcher. It's no good. The kick has been flagged away, so the score remains Canberra 22 and South Sydney well and truly down the gurgler 2. Well, Jackson ran himself into a bit of a hole there. I think he was expected to give a pass away. Thought he would be able to, but ran himself into a dead set hole. Walters. Little grubber kick through. It's going to be swooped on by Baker. About a metre from the line. Waters tackles him. He's the man that kicked it. Have we heard a crowd today, David?
Yes, around about 18,500. The ground announcer announced about 10 or 15 minutes ago, Rex. A very, very good crowd, and what a sad way for this South Sydney side to go out on their traditional home ground for the last 40 years. It hasn't been an impressive performance, and at this business end of the season, really big problems for George Piggins.
Yes, it's a bad scene for South Sydney, but I'm full of admiration for Canberra. They've played very, very well indeed, extremely well. Ashley Gilbert tears his way through a couple of feeble tackles. Henjack. Out and flows along the line to O'Sullivan, out to Jackson. Jackson turns and he swivels in the tackle. Corkery's at dummy half. He'll have a run on his own from here. Oh, he's not going to do it, is he? He is. Gee, I thought he'd... No, the referee has ruled on it. He fell short. The touch judge gave him some guidance on that occasion. Well, there's Jackson over the line, but he can't get the ball down. It's going to be held up in goal. Yes, they're really trying to rub it in now. 22 points to 2.
Great performances over the last fortnight by Canberra. They absolutely demolished Canterbury at home last weekend. Now South Sydney critics were quick to rate both South and Canterbury, two teams that are likely to be candidates to win the Winfield Cup from 4th or 5th position. Now they're both under pressure and battling to stay alive to even make the semi-finals. Canberra this win today virtually assuring them at least a minimum of a playoff.
To Ellison. Ellison's going forward. It's a very dispirited looking South Sydney side at the moment with 10 minutes to go, but they're not giving up. They're still trying. Boyle through the pass to Andrews. It went behind him. The referee says no knock on. Fennick. Coleman. Baker. Tugwell. Got a pass straight back into a Canberra player, Waters, who proceeds to go back upfield. Well, Carey's kicked ahead. That was, I think, ill-advised on the first tackle, second tackle. Baker, Ellison, Boyle. All the pass has been dropped by Marvin. No knock on. Dropped it behind him. Ellison charges up the blind side, but there's just no way through this enveloping Canberra defence. Davidson trying desperately to get his arms free. Mario Fennick. They're just going across field, and there's Baker knocking it on. Picked up by Jackson. Jackson swooped on it. Couldn't get his arms free. Here's Todd ploughing forward still. Waters, Lance, Bacco on the quarter line. O'Sullivan. Henjack cut out pass. Hey, Biles has taken it and knocked it on in the attempt. But it was going to be a long, long sprint. They probably would have had the pace to make it too. See it again.
There was the long ball from Henjack, trying anything with a lead at 22 points to 2 at this stage, not coming off. Biles going for the intercept, but not being able to control the ball. Would have been the only bright spot for South out of 80 minutes of football.
Henjack. O'Sullivan. Nicely worked to Corkery there. Run around move. Very nearly got him into a gap. Belcher. O'Sullivan. Oh, he's probing. He's been put down and hops to his feet pretty smartly. Held down now. Waters, Jackson changes direction, goes back towards the blind side. Dean Lance, a run-around move. Morrissey comes off the end of it. 10 metres out from the line. Well, the kick has been charged down, but he's regathered it. 6 to go. Ashley Gilbert charges through. It's a try, no doubt about it. Good footwork, good control, plenty of pace. The big man's gone over again, and this is becoming an embarrassment now for South Sydney. It's 5 tries to 0. See it again.
All too easy for Canberra. Craig Coleman going for the dummy. Missed tackles on that blind side there for South. That was very, very easy for Canberra. They hold this big lead, or held the lead before this try of 22 points to 2. Their forwards have done a marvellous job. South Sydney, well, they're the favourites in the forward pack as the two teams lined up in the first half, but Ashley Gilbert just planting the ball, more or less saying that we're far too good today, both in the forwards and out in the backs.
Yeah, 5 tries to 0 is a fair summation of it. There's nothing you can say about South Sydney. They've had some bad luck, but that is consistent with all football teams at one stage. Now Belcher to attempt the goal. Oh, what an awful kick. He seemed to kick that halfway up. It was only about 10 metres out and about 10 metres off centre, so he had every right to kick that. 26 points to 2. Dying seconds of the game. Moon. 10 metres out from his quarter line. We're in injury time now. Coleman back into Andrews. Back to Boyle. Boyle to Roberts. That pass looked forward to Mario Bennett. He's given it straight to a Canberra player. And Davidson comes in to flatten that Canberra player, and it was Dean Lance, I believe. We'll see that again.
We'll just keep a lookout for your ribs here, Dean Lance. He's standing waiting for the referee to call him to play the ball, and whack. Straight into the pack comes Les Davidson. Certainly could have done without that with about 30 seconds to go.
He's been absolutely winded, and there's the hooter to end the section for South Sydney. A merciful release in a game that they've done absolutely nothing. Canberra tries. Kinner, Corkery, Walters, Belcher, Gilbert, and goals Belcher 3, making their 26 points. South Sydney 1 goal. Ellison was the scorer of that. 26 points to 2, a real flogging.